Welcome to the Whiskey Explorer. Thanks so much for tuning in for another episode, guys. If you haven't done so already, if you could please do us a quick favor, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. If you've tried this bourbon here, let us know what you think about it, and we'll get the conversation going here at the Whiskey Explorer. And tonight we have got Baker's 7-year-old single barrel. Alright, so Baker's Single Barrel is another bourbon in the Jim Beam small batch collection, and it actually used to be a small batch product that was batched together, so that would be several barrels that were blended to make a small batch. This, however, they transitioned about, I think it was about 2 years ago or so, or about a year and a half maybe ago, they transitioned to a single barrel offering of Baker's in order to sort of try to encourage bourbon consumers, whiskey drinkers, to buy the product. So Baker's has always kind of been the unsung hero of the Jim Beam small batch collection. It's sort of often overlooked. Other products in that line do very well, such as Knob Creek Single Barrel, as well as Basil Hayden. I don't particularly like Basil Hayden, but it does well in terms of sales for Jim Beam. And of course, Booker's being in the small batch collection as well, but also a cask strength offering from Jim Beam. So this one here, it says aged a minimum of 7 years old. This one here is from the BC liquor store, and it is a bottle that is 7 years, 4 months, and it says the barrel date is 2000, so December 2013. And this bottle is actually on loan to me from a great supporter of the channel, James. James, thank you so much for loaning the channel the bottle here. I actually have a bottle of Baker's, but it's actually the small batch collection, and I haven't opened it yet. I kind of thought it was a good find when I found it, so I thought I'd hang on to it for a little bit, and I haven't cracked it yet. So happy to have this one on the channel to review. And I should also start off by saying a quick shout out to another viewer and supporter of the channel, Rylan. He kind of brought this to my attention, and he had kind of been doing his whiskey research on Reddit. And he was saying that one of the commenters on one of the whiskey tubes was saying, or on Reddit, wherever it was saying, it's interesting that there's these whiskey reviewers and whiskey tubers out there, and they never talk about what flavor profile kind of resonates with them, right? They're critical of whiskeys, they drink a lot of different bourbons and whiskeys, and they're, making comments and judgments on it, but they never kind of tell us where their kind of palate lies in terms of preference. So I will preface this review by saying that Jim Beam isn't typically my favorite flavor profile. I am much more kind of in tune with Buffalo Trace products, which I know that's probably frustrating for some of you out there. It's frustrating for me too, because the Buffalo Trace products are harder to get. But I do enjoy some Jim Beam products. I really like the Knob Creek 9-year, the small batch, the Knob Creek single barrel. But they have other products like the Old Tub and some of the other stuff that I don't really care for, especially Jim Beam white label. Anyways, just thought I'd kind of throw that out here at the beginning of the review, so that if you are a Jim Beam fan, you aren't too influenced by my review here, and I hope you do go out and watch other YouTubers and read other online blogs on whiskey to make an informed decision before you purchase. So anyways, without further ado, let's get into the whiskey here. This one here is aged, as I said, a minimum of 7 years, and it's at 107 proof. So it's probably pretty close to cask strength, so that's 53.5% alcohol by volume, but it doesn't say cask strength on there, so we know that there has been some water added. Let's look at the color in the glass here. Actually, you know what? This is a relatively light color, almost reminding me of that Basil Hayden toast that I reviewed on the channel. I'll put a link to it above here if you want to check that out. So it is a relatively kind of light, kind of amber color to that one there. Not too dark at all, actually, which is a little bit surprising for this proof point, 107 proof, and being that it is a minimum 7 years. But let's get into the nose here. Cheers. Ooh, I like the nose on this one. Right off the bat, you get that kind of funky Jim Beam peanut notes. It's almost like peanut shell. That's the very first thing that jumped out at me. But then there's a really nice sweet vanilla note that comes in, mixed in with some sweet oak, a little bit of brown sugar, molasses on the nose as well. Let's go in there again. Wow, I would call that the Jim Beam signature peanut funk, for lack of kind of better wording for it. So there's definitely that Jim Beam, almost kind of like the circus peanut, sweet peanut, almost like the peanuts you get in the Cracker Jacks. So there's some caramel, butterscotch mixed in with that, vanilla note, peanut shell. Let's see what else we can get here. Oh, I definitely get some cherries on there as well. It's almost like an unripe cherry though, or an unripe strawberry. You know when you get like a strawberry and it's like got a little bit of white on it, or it's like a fully white strawberry if you grow them at home. It's kind of that note. A little bit of kind of almost youthfulness, which you wouldn't expect at the 7 years, but nevertheless it's there, so I'll call it out. I do really like this nose. I'm getting some more cherry note in there. There's vanilla sweetness, creaminess, a little bit of sweet oak, brown sugar, tons of sweetness on this one. I'm really liking the nose on this a lot, especially for, as I said, I do really enjoy some Jim Beam products, but there's others that I don't, so it's not my favorite distillery out there, but I still do really enjoy a lot of their products. So let's go in for a taste. Cheers. Wow, that's just Jim Beam through and through. The sweet kind of caramel, circus peanut I mentioned, like kind of the peanuts you get in the Cracker Jack, butterscotch, caramel, vanilla, sweet peanut, almost like a peanut shell. There's a little bit of maybe a chocolate, like almost an espresso note in the background there. Mid palate, there's a transition to some baking spices, so some nice cinnamon woven into this, a little bit of black pepper, a little bit of allspice. A nice, rich, layered dram. Lots to discover on this one. I really like that proof point. It seems to be the perfect proof point. It really shines at that 107 proof. There's lots of depth and complexity to the flavors here. There's a sweet richness to it. The finish is about medium. There is a little bit of a mouth coating to this as well, which is nice. You kind of almost expect that at 107 proof, 7+ years old. I did see some of these at the BC Liquor Store that were actually 8 years old, or a little bit older than 8 years. I think it was 8 years and 3 months. So you can find older single barrels out there. They also do have a single barrel version of Baker's that's a 13-year. That showed up in our market as a spirit release. It was quite an expensive bottle. I think it was definitely over 200. It might have even been over 250 here. They're going on secondary here for about $350 now, so an expensive bottle, so I didn't pick that one up. To be honest, I'm really always going for a value proposition when I'm shopping for my whiskeys, so that one didn't quite make the cut, but this is super enjoyable. I think you could even have this as like a dessert whiskey. Lots to hold on to and grab onto and analyze here. Let's go for another quick second sip here. Cheers. Thanks again, James. This is a really tasty dram. I really like this. There is a lot of the Jim Beam peanut funk. So if you don't like that Jim Beam quintessential kind of distillery characteristic, let's call it, or house style, you may not gravitate towards this one. What I like about it is that peanut, the sweet peanut, is offset with really rich cherry, creamy vanilla, a little bit of sweet oak, brown sugar, cinnamon, baking spices, a little bit of nutmeg, a little bit of allspice, brown sugar. It's a nice depth to this. There's a nice lasting finish. A little bit of Kentucky hug at the 107 proof going down. So I would highly recommend this Baker's 7-year 107 proof. I think it's fantastic. I would totally have this on my bar. And I'm really thankful that James gave me a chance to try it and give it a review on the channel here, because now I know that I like it and I can go out and spend the 70 or 80 bucks on it and not feel bad about it, which is great. Yeah, so really enjoy that one. And again, guys, if you haven't done so already, please give us a like on the channel, subscribe to the channel. The best ways to get eyes on the video is to help the algorithm out, to help the platform out. Tell the platform that you like the video. share it with your friends, subscribe, leave a comment down below. It helps get traffic to the video, so we really appreciate all of you out there who are watching. Thanks so much for joining us for another episode. And until the next time, may your sails be full and your drowns be fuller. Cheers.